Welcome everybody. Welcome to end of the Thursday update, and you can see we'll start with Nasdaq, and you can see we every in a bull market we always go between green and red lines, and then we bounce. And Nasdaq is now again coming, trying to go between these two lines and trying to farm a bottom. And you can see my projection is paying out perfectly. Now we're getting this pullback, so this pullback is where we should be. If you miss this opportunity, this is your last chance before we get a massive rally to end of the year. And you can see we always go between green and red lines, and we take a breather here and then we bounce. Always in a bull market, you can see these two EMA lines go in between and then bounce. Even here, you can go as far as you want. Always that happens. Okay, you can see always go here and then bounce. So we are there, and we're almost towards the end of the pullback. And in my opinion, this is your perfect time to buy if you did not buy yet. Today's pullback was mainly due to Fed speaker Jerome Powell, and then Tesla earnings. Tesla was down almost 10%, and a little bit survived by Netflix, almost up 16%. But anyhow, so this is where we are. We're making higher highs, higher lows. You can see we are making higher highs, higher lows on Nasdaq. This low is higher than previous low. This low is higher than this low. So I think we are about to close and then move very, very high. Now we are getting a sell signal here, although this candle is bearish and we are back below all moving averages. But tomorrow is key day, and tomorrow could be VIX Crush Friday, and usually on Friday we get bullish move, and that's what I'm expecting. All right, and let's quickly go to triple Qs, and those levels are here. So we're getting this pullback, so this is probably your last opportunity before we get a massive rally from here till the end of the year, and then I'm looking for new all-time highs. So from here, if you can be patient till Christmas this year, from here we have almost potential to go almost 13-14% higher. All right, so just keep that in mind. Don't blindly short. This is not the time to short. This is a time to buy. All right, so again, so triple Qs are here, and yeah, we are just consolidating before a massive rally. Let's quickly go to S&P 500. You can see same thing here. We're getting this pullback, probably going, and we close right on this blue line, which is 200 EMA, daily EMA, and we are finding support here, and this could be the bottom before we get a massive rally. So keep that in mind. This is not the time to short. This is the time to buy. Dow Jones, same thing here, looking for this pullback, which we got. And although Dow Jones has a lower low, but just keep in mind S&P 500, we're just going to follow that. All right, for our next prediction, IWM, there was this gap here. We closed this gap. If I go to 1 hour chart, let me go back to regular trading hours. You can see this gap here, which was not filled yesterday, and today we came back and filled this gap. If you watch my pre-market video, you know these gaps which I was talking about. And now we're getting a new low, but we have a divergence. Okay, what does divergence mean? Divergence means RSI is going higher, so prices making new low, but momentum is higher on RSI. Okay, so this is a good news because we're going lower on higher momentum on RSI, which means a massive bounce could come anytime. And to trade this, you can draw a trend line, and you can wait for a break of this trend line, and until we get that, just be very, very careful. All right, so let's keep moving. Gold massive breakout above this resistance. So now this resistance became support. So what's happening here? Now we're gonna make this green because this is now a support. All right, so one support here, second support here. I was expecting this pullback, but looks like we break out. So we're above all moving averages, just going straight up, which is a very, very bullish sign for gold. And gold looks like it wants to go to new all-time high, and it can happen anytime. The only thing, just be patient. There's a big gap here. I just don't know when it's going to be filled, but eventually it will be filled one day. So I'm just going to leave this gap here. I'm going to just leave it here, so we know that that's our target, and I'm going to make it a different color so we know what this is. Let's try to make it purple. Okay, so we know this gap will eventually be filled. We'll just track and see how and when that will be filled. Silver also trying its best to go above this trend line, facing resistance right on this 200 EMA. Let's see if we get this pullback, which I was expecting, or we're going to go straight up. But anyhow, a pullback is healthy, and then we go bounce and go to new high after that. We'll see. Natural gas, big sell-off, 3.95%. You can see where we are, right on support, 20 EMA, and there's this 200 EMA, which is right on support. And is this the bottom before we make next leg higher? This is a very solid support, 20 EMA. So let's keep an eye. This could be the last thing before we go higher. Crude oil again up 2.2%, 2.3%. I was expecting this pullback, which we are not getting, but we are now back above this, not above, we are right facing this resistance. So let's see if this is it. before we start a pullback. We'll see. Still a lower high before we can go lower. We'll see how that happens. Bitcoin, massive pump since we get this buy signal, just consolidating, and you can see before I was telling you this is a pullback before we can find support on this 200 EMA, and then we are getting ready for a bounce. Ethereum, again in the buy box, this is where you want to buy Ethereum. Nothing has changed, just look to buy it here. Tesla down 10%. Wow. And this gap is still not filled. This gap, if I go to 1 hour chart, let's quickly see. This gap you can see exactly here. I still have this gap here, so tomorrow we are looking for this gap to fill before we can be bullish again. So from here I am expecting this gap. You can see my projection, I did not change anything. I was expecting this to fill. So 216.27 is first gap, and there's another gap here around 208. So who knows, we might be able to fill that gap too. So if I have to go to first gap 1.65, second gap almost 5%. So either we're gonna get this gap fill, this is it, or we're going to go a little bit lower, fill this gap, and then go higher. All right, so we'll see. But again, this is like a falling knife. Wait for this gap to fill, maybe this other gap before we get bullish again. Netflix, massive pump, and it managed to close above this 50 daily SMA. Very good news. Prices above all moving averages. What else you need? It's very bullish move. Good move by Netflix. Apple got rejected again on this 50 daily SMA red line. So looking for it's coming back to the support area. This is the support box. Let's see if it can hold it here and then bounce. Microsoft also getting resistance here above all moving averages price, but got rejected here. So let's see if we can bounce from here. The good thing is Microsoft is above all moving averages. Earnings are coming. It's October 24th. We still have some time. Apple is the last one probably. Google is also above all moving average, not above all, sorry, this 20 EMA is going to be a support now. So let's see if Google is sitting right on the support. Meta, Facebook also, well, this gap is closed, so we can delete this. So now there are no gaps to the top, no gaps to the down. It's on support. So let's see if we can hold here and then bounce. Amazon, let's go to 1 hour chart. Looks like this gap is filled. So we can delete this. You can see we've had a gap down, and now we fill this gap, and now there are no gaps up. So now there's this massive gap up. So probably we can go fill this gap. Earnings will tell us next step. Snowflake's flat, rejected. Was up at one point, got rejected below all moving averages. That's not good news. But the other good news is we have multiple gaps. This gap around 176 still left to fill. NVDA also looking bearish, but there are multiple gaps to the top side. So looking for those gaps to fill. Let me get the right tool. So looking for gaps to fill here. AMD flat, but again in the support box. If you did not buy AMD here, this is your best time to buy. There's this gap around 105, so don't miss out on this opportunity. Let's quickly look at bonds. New low, but still you can see still a higher momentum. Just keep going lower on higher momentum. So but we cannot go above this trend line, dotted trend line, so you have to now really wait for this trend line to break. Until then, be very careful on bond. Copper in the buy box, nothing changed. Palladium broke down. Now this is broke down, which is not a good news. But you can see we still have higher momentum on RSI. So is it going to be a fake move? Because gold is moving higher. I don't know why Palladium is going lower. Is it going to be a fake move? We have to figure out. But for now, it's on the massive support area. This could be a rate, stop rate, to take stop losses before we get a pump. Wheat up 2.36%. A lot of my subscribers were asking what's happening. You can see nothing changed. Now we again back tested this. Now we're going higher. Prices above all moving averages except 200. You can see it's above 50 EMA and 50 SMA. Everything is looking bullish on wheat. Corn also up, massive pump above all moving averages. You can see my projection. Now we're right on the resistance. We really want this to break. Soybeans again bouncing from the buy zone. Sugar, you can see here. Also, I want to see this pullback. Let's see if we can get this pullback to this trend line before we bounce. That's what I'm looking for. And let's quickly move on to gold miners. A little bit of pullback will be healthy before we go higher. Newmont Mine, biggest gold miner. You can see this pullback, which I was expecting. A little bit more pullback to fill this gap. Then we can go higher. Let's quickly look at XLK. This is tech sector, price below all moving averages, but this is where I want to see a bottom forming very soon. XLE, this gap is filled, so delete that. Now there are other gaps here, so looking for this gap to fill before we move higher. XLV, healthcare, also below all moving averages. Now this is not a good sign. We now closed below this trend line, so really want price to recover very, very fast from here. XLU, utility sectors, again back on this trend line. We're getting this pullback, so this gap is filled, looking for it to bottom before we can go higher. Industrial, again not looking good, but these are the things you want to buy. These are buying opportunity. There are gaps up, gaps down. It could go as low as here, fill this gap, but still this is where it should be bottoming. XLRE, real estate sector, a little bit weaker, but don't be afraid to buy this pullback. XLF also, if I go to 1 hour chart, looks like this gap is filled, so I can delete this. If I go to daily chart, you can see here now XLF also trying to form a bottom, and then I think after this we're gonna go higher probably, and this could be a higher low before we go higher. All right. Shopify, somebody asked me about Shopify. You can see right in the middle, probably earnings will tell us next step. It's right, not above, not down. We'll see, it's in the middle, so it's below all moving averages. This 200 SMA is also here, is below that as well. So let's see if it can recover over that. That's going to be bullish, but if not, then maybe earnings we come all the way down, fill this gap. That's going to be a next step. That could be around 10% down. This is earnings gap. We still did not fill it. So just be careful on Shopify. And lastly, VIX breaking out. Wow, this is not a good news. Looking very, very bullish, VIX, but above all moving averages. So let's see if VIX can now consolidate throughout the end of this year and then bounce. It's right near resistance. You can see this whole area about 20, big resistance here, and this is where you want VIX to fail. Let's see if it can do that. Let me mark this with red lines. So we'll try and see. Still, it's breaking out. If tomorrow it sells, then I think we're looking for a new low by the end of this year. All right. Okay, guys, let's quickly look at the levels for trade tomorrow. Let me get my script on, and you can see here this is 1 minute chart, and let me bring extended hours training back on. And you can see what happened. S&P 500 closed right on the sell buy zone. Sorry, these green lines are buy, red lines are sell. By the way, guys, if you want to subscribe, join my link. The Discord channel link is in the description of this video. You can join for free. And also, if you want to subscribe, I provide pre-market update, and also I answer your individual requests. There's a member-only section in the chat group. You can subscribe. One trade pre-market can make you money. For example, today I was telling you in the buy zone. You could have bought it, and then we could have made easily 0.86% on NASDAQ. You can see we came to the buy zone and then we bought it. Could take easily 1.17%. So these are things which I share, and it's very reasonable. One trade can make you money for the whole year subscription. So anyhow, okay, back to this. We are in the buy zone on S&P 500, NASDAQ 100 also in the buy zone. Dow Jones also in the buy zone, and Russell 2000 is also in the buy zone. And what do we do in buy zone? We buy. All right, guys. So very good time to buy for tomorrow, and I wish you all the best. Bye.